Friday edition of Studio 12 from the south end zone of Kyle Field. Will Johnson, Matt Simon with you. And are your bags packed, Matt?
Ready to go. Road trip.
Ready?
Let's do it.
Road trip. All right. To the plains of Auburn. Tomorrow it's Texas A&M and the Auburn Tigers. The Aggies start SEC play. We begin this edition with Conor McQueen and his guest of choice. We've got them for the first half of the show. And, Conor, you had Armani Watts here last week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all that talk, he had to switch over to his roommate.
Yeah.
Bring Armani's roommate.
Exactly. We got to keep it in trends. We're going in trends here.
Yeah. So we've got Aggie wide receiver Christian Kirk with us, and did Armani have any words for you before you came? Like, man, don't go to that show. They're speaking nonsense.
No, I got a little sneak peek of it on Snapchat, and then I was the first one to hit up Conor and give him a hard time.
He was upset. He was a little bit upset.
I was wondering where the love was at. So
surprisingly, this is backing up his story. He told us last week that the show is blowing up, Christian. He said everybody's trying to get on it, and I thought he was joking. But
I can't make this stuff up.
You land this guy?
I was the first one to let him know I wanted to be on it.
Like, because nobody talks about Christian Kirk. Nobody.
He
gets no pub at all.
He's just flying under the radar.
This guy's flying under the radar. We got to get him his love. Yeah. So he gets to make an appearance on Conor's segment, which, I mean, we're going to have to bring this up every time. Still, it's nameless, but,
we should let Christian. He can name this.
Well, each guest Conor brings, we asked the guest, hey, come up with a name for Conor's segment on this radio show. But, I mean,
we had some suggestions last week that we couldn't put on.
Here's a new one, Conor's Corner.
Ooh.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's strong.
We're going to have to work
go
with
there. I don't know. I think we might just settle with, lightning segment or lightning hour.
Lightning round?
Or
lightning round.
McQueen's Minutes.
Oh.
McQueen's Minutes.
And, we can have a guy like our producer who's in another room take the minutes of the meeting and repeat them back to us as we finish up.
That would be a good task for somebody to do.
Yeah. Other than any of us.
Right.
We don't need to do
that.
No,
somebody else.
We can't handle that.
An employee or an intern maybe.
Interns are good. We'd have to have one of those.
If we could afford one, that'd be a great job for
it's a non-paid internship.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have to volunteer your time. And you're just going to have to take the minutes of the
You're not going to get any hours either. So.
No. You can't put it on your resume either.
No.
You just bring some paper and a pencil.
So it becomes charity.
And a good attitude.
Community
Come
service.
with a good attitude.
Yeah.
Exactly. Christian, plane fight today. Are you a window guy, aisle guy? How do you?
Window guy, 100%.
You get to pull rank. Can you call window seat, or they put you where?
We get assigned seating, and unfortunately I had to sit. Well, actually, I lied. I had the window seat, and Savion Holmes was in the middle, and Ricky Seals-Jones was in the aisle. But since Savion was a senior, I got kicked out into the middle.
Fair enough.
Majority of the time. So I had the pleasure of being crunched next to Ricky. So I was pretty much halfway in Savion's seat because
Ricky's got a big frame.
Yeah,
he does.
Well, and he, for some reason, he feels like he needs to cross one of his legs over. So his knees.
Added sophistication.
Yeah. I mean, there's the little lines on the ground where the seat's attached to. I mean, that to me says that's where you stop. That's not how that works.
No.
It doesn't really.
And Ricky with the legs crossed. I grew up near Sealy, Texas. There's no sophistication in that town. I'm sorry, none at all. I mean,
so if you have your say today, window seat, right?
Window seat, 100%.
What do you? You're a senior. You pretty much.
I'm always.
I
mean, I'm one of the smallest guys on that airplane. They're putting me in the middle, no matter what. But Coach Sumlin's usually he does things a certain way, and he's done it since he's been a head coach. He always puts the starting quarterback right behind him. And since I've been traveling, this will be going on 4th year traveling, I have always been to the right of the starter. So I'm in the middle seat, right behind Coach Sumlin, so I can kind of poke at his hair.
And for those that don't know, the head coach likes to get that extra space. He sits in the
he gets the
safety aisle, the emergency aisle.
He knows how to handle himself in case of emergency and everything. He's gone through it, so he's good. He can handle that.
Yeah,
you got to pull rank and get in them linemen's first class seating up front there.
See, that I was. That's going to be an interesting ordeal now that I think about it. Since Trevor's a captain, they do offensive line, defensive line, and captains up in first class. So I'm wondering if Trevor's going to, maintain tradition sitting behind Coach Sumlin, or if I'm gonna be that guy behind Coach Sumlin.
Yeah.
We will find out momentarily.
Yeah.
You know what? These are all things you got to think about when you travel. But
There's a lot up in the air right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ambiguity in the situation.
That's
here,
right.
folks.
Now,
Suspense is in the air.
when you hit the ground, the team will stay in Montgomery tonight and then bus over to Auburn tomorrow for the game. There'll be business at hand, obviously. Excitement for starting SEC play? Is it almost like a renewed sense of a season here since it's conference time for most of the way out?
Oh, without a doubt, and especially going in and playing Auburn and the type of atmosphere that is. That was one of the places that I went and visited during my recruiting, and, you know, that's hands down one of the best places to play in the SEC, and, you know, especially for a road game for us, you know, we're definitely going to have to come in and create our own energy, but, you know, we're excited for the challenge. It's going to be a fun weekend, so just can't wait to get there and get ready for preparation.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of get the best of both worlds this year to where we'll have our season opener. We had our season opener at home, but then we'll get to have our SEC opener on the road. So, you know, it's really just kicking it off in the hostile environment. You know, that's what we've been embracing all week. And, you know, since Coach Sumlin's been here, that's one of the things that we take pride in this program is performing well on the road and not changing our approach, whether it's a home game or an away game. So, you know, I'm excited to get on the road, you know, get on the airplane, touchdown, and get to work.
Yeah, Christian, this is the kind of thing you guys relish, isn't it? Getting on the road when it's pretty much you guys and a little handful of fans against an entire stadium full of people, isn't it?
Without a doubt. I mean, this says a lot about, you know, who you are as a football player. You know, there's going to be large forms of adversity, and, you know, we're going to have to come and we're going to have to bring everything we got. Just like I said, with the atmosphere, and, you know, we know Auburn's going to want to, you know, come in there, and, you know, it's their home stadium, so, you know, it's just we've had a great week of preparation, and like I said, we're just excited to get down and start getting our mind right and you know, take on this challenge.
Conor, is it hard not to think back to 2 years ago and the terrific win when Auburn was number 3? You guys go there and beat them 41-38, and it's quite a football game that afternoon.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's been the interesting thing about our series with Auburn since we've been in the SEC is that, I mean, the road teams won every time.
Right.
And, you know, we're looking to continue that trend, of course.
Stick.
Right. But I mean, you can't not think about that game from 2 years ago, and in the game last year, you know, that we definitely, I mean, we should have done some. I mean, we definitely had our opportunities to win that football game, and, you know, it left a kind of a bad taste in our mouth. But then again, I mean, we think about those kind of things, but then again, I mean, we're really focusing in on just doing the whole 1-0 approach each week, and, you know, just like we said last week on the show, just nameless, faceless opponents, to where we're going to prepare the exact same way each and every week. But I mean, you look back, and, you know, a lot of the guys that were a part of this team right now were a part of that victory 2 years ago, to where, you know, we're comfortable going into that environment, in that stadium. You know, we're looking to do the same kind of thing.
2 games in, and I don't want to say – nobody wants to say, all right, the offense is rolling, but they've looked pretty good for 2 games. No team in the country, I think, has it all solved with that small of a sample size. But I'll ask both of you, maybe an easy question to ask, but harder to answer. How close is this offense to being what it can be?
I feel like we're close, but obviously it's going to take the whole season to get to where we need to be. And, you know, I believe that if we can go, you know, towards that end stretch of the season and really be at our peak level of performance as an offense, that's going to set us up, you know, pretty nicely for where we want to be. And I just think that it all attributes to coming out every day during practice and working our tails off. You know, it's been hot. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it's been hot. You know, during practice, and it's long days. Those Tuesday and Wednesday work days are long days. But, you know, we've done a great job, especially as an offense, just bringing energy to practice and knowing that we can't let any day go to waste, because we have so much talent. And, you know, I'm sure people have seen, you know, when we get rolling and our tempo is going, everything's clicking, we're hard to stop. So, you know, we're excited. You know, we're kind of touching, you know, where we want to be, and we're kind of seeing that. So it's just, you know, we just got to keep going.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that, I mean, Coach Mazzoni really puts into perspective is that, I mean, he Christian says we're close, but then again, I look at things, and, you know, from UCLA to Prairie View, I see, I mean, just the leaps and bounds ahead of where we were just 2 weeks ago. I mean, and not necessarily in terms of our production against the defenses, but just of the way that we're executing offensively. And Coach Mazzoni showing that, I mean, there's still so much more room for improvement to where, I mean, we have correctable errors on almost every single play to where there is so much more room for us to improve, which is very exciting because, I mean, we have been performing fairly well, and that I see so much room for us to continue to get better and progress each and every week to where, I mean, once we finally hit our stride and get rolling and, you know, Trevor's back there feeling comfortable and everything and slinging it around, I think we're going to be one of the, I mean, if not the toughest offense in the country to stop.
Connor's got Christian Kirk with him, Texas A&M. Heading to the Plains of Auburn tomorrow. It starts SEC play. The Aggies already wins over UCLA and Prairie View. And Christian, you grow up in Arizona. People peg that as Pac-12 country, but you mentioned you took a recruiting visit to Auburn, and the SEC was always kind of your hopeful destination for continuing your education and football career, wasn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. I would say, you know, playing in the SEC was one of the main factors, you know, in my recruiting decision. I visited so many SEC schools. I went to Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. I came here. You know, I pretty much got a taste of it all, and, you know, it all excited me. And, you know, I remember, you know, just being a kid and you know, being so excited to watch those 2:30 games, the SEC games, and, you know, I always knew that this was the conference that I wanted to play in, and, you know, I always say, you know, to be the best, you got to play against the best, and the best is obviously here in the SEC. So that was definitely a huge thing for me.
Mm-hmm. And you go to these venues that are just incredible. I mean, which you put Kyle Field right at the top of, but Jordan Hare and Bryant Denny, and next year the Aggies are going to go to the Swamp down in Gainesville. Just you see these places when you're on the sidelines, when you're in the game. Everybody talks about how difficult some hostile environments are. Does it matter to you guys? When you have the helmet on, can that block out the opposing noise? And is it really as big a deal to the player as maybe we fans think it is, that crowd noise that's there to distract you the entire afternoon?
I honestly think it's not really as big as people think it is. You know, when you have that helmet on and you're so focused in the moment and you have so many other things to worry about, I think that the crowd is kind of the last thing that you really are paying attention to. You need to get the signals. You need to communicate with everybody else on the field. So, you know, when you're out there, it all kind of just blocks out. And then especially when that ball snap, it pretty much goes silent. You know, you can't hear anything. And, you know, like I say, you just have so much running through your mind, and all you're focused on is that play.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I mean, that's what I enjoy about the offenses that we've run since I've been here. It's so predicated on hand signals and, you know, playing fast and everything, to where there isn't a whole lot of verbal communication. So where our approach doesn't really change whether we're home or we're on the road, and it's louder. So I mean, we look to play fast and, you know, create our tempo and you know, continue that throughout the game, regardless if we're at home or away. So, I mean, I enjoy that part. And you know, the crowd noise, I mean, for me, I think I enjoy it. I enjoy being on the road just because, you know, it's that extra kick of adrenaline. You know, it's us against them. It feels like it's us, just our team, against the world, because, you know, obviously we're a smaller crew because, you know, we can't travel with the entire team. So, you know, it's just us and our guys against everybody else. So, you know, I enjoy that mentality a whole lot. I appreciate being on the road.
Yeah, I still say, though, it's a biased opinion, but I'm honest about it. I think this is the loudest one. Kyle Field.
Oh, for sure.
I think LSU's Tiger Stadium's a close second, but I flat out think Kyle Field is the loudest stadium I've been in. I hadn't been to every place in the country, obviously. Yeah, I'm working on it.
I mean, we've seen multiple offenses come in here and just start malfunctioning just because of the crowd noise, to where, I mean, you can't go to many other places around the country and, you know, you just see people start breaking down. Yeah. To where it just things start unraveling just solely based on crowd noise.
And remember what Nick Saban said last year after he took Alabama in here. It was right after Kirk's punt return.
Right.
I mean, they're as sound a football team as you can get, and they're jumping off sides right after that and that's the loudest I've ever heard Kyle Field was right after that, and I think they did a beautiful job of building it to send all the noise down to the field, and it just reverberates around your head. to us watching. Again, you guys are so
Right.
focused, you don't notice it as much. But if you're standing on the sidelines watching this thing, I mean, the hair stands up, you get the goosebumps, and you realize, I mean, this is a jet engine in my
Right.
face right now.
Well, yeah, I can honestly say too. You know, after that punt return, and then being on the sideline and the defense being out there, and they were pinned. I think it was like within their own 15.
Yeah.
And, that was definitely the time where it became really noticeable to me. I'm like, wow,
that
it's
was
loud in here.
That was
That's-
cool.
yeah.
Just kinda,
It's
I
loud.
remember just kind of
O.J. Howard
Yeah.
thought it was loud. I mean,
Kinda
he couldn't stay on side.
Yeah.
sitting back and just looking up and just smiling, just
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
is.
I
this
took
is-
my
this-
headsets off and just said, I'm going to enjoy
this
this
is something
for a little
special right
while.
here,
This
yeah.
is good stuff. So-
Exactly. Conor McQueen, Christian Kirk with us here on the Friday edition of Studio 12. Christian, we had your position coach, Aaron Moorhead, on Wednesday, and one of the things he brought up was the way you guys are able to do things off the ball, blocking downfield, things like that. And it's stuff that really fans, including myself, don't notice because we're not watching film, we're not breaking it down. How much do you pride yourself and your group pride itself on doing stuff when you don't have the ball, when the ball is not being thrown to you?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all attributed to Coach Moorhead. We have a standard set in that room, and besides catching the ball and making explosive plays and scoring touchdowns, I would say the next biggest thing is selflessness, and we have a selflessness competition going on in our room. Everybody's giving points, and it's for big play box or even just getting on your man or pancake like offensive linemen. We have pancake blocks. We have all that, and it even goes off the field. We have points for if you miss a class, you lose points. If you miss a treatment, you lose points. He's big on selflessness and not just going further than yourself. But he stresses that every practice. And if during a game a guy doesn't get his hands on the man that he's supposed to block, that's a loaf. And loafs are the number one thing in our room that should never happen, because if everybody's doing their job to 100%, every play should be executed and it should be successful. So that's something big that I love that we do, because you look at a lot of other teams in the country, and you don't see their guys doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You see guys, if they're not getting the ball, jogging off the ball, or kind of just leisurely running a fade. Guys aren't putting in the fourth
Right.
effort, all that effort. So I'm really, really, really proud of the way that we go out there and play on every snap.
Yeah, I love watching it. Just, I mean, you see, it goes back to just, I mean, being brothers and taking care of your guy. And, I mean, you look back and, I mean, we're playing UCLA, watching tape, and it's some of the things that don't necessarily go notice when you're watching it. But when we're going back and watching tape or watching from the side, you really appreciate those guys that are making those blocks and are really setting the tone in terms of playing physical. I mean, there were 2 plays in a row on the goal line against UCLA where Ricky Seals-Jones put that strong safety on his back, 2 plays in a row. And then you look back to last week, and Speedy Noyles, I think he flipped out a bubble screen to you.
Yeah.
And Speedy blocks his guy 15 yards downfield and all the way out of bounds, about 5 yards out of bounds. And, the next play catches a touchdown, to where, I mean, we're rewarding guys for, being selfless and, helping your teammates make plays. So when it's your time to make a play, you're ready and your teammates are going to be there for you.
Yeah, and it all builds chemistry. I mean, it all brings this team together. And if there's ever a time for chemistry to show up, is it what we're about to go into, a Saturday night in an SEC stadium? Only a team with chemistry could handle that. Mm-hmm. If you break apart, that place and that team that you're playing would bury you. I got a feeling you guys have the utmost confidence, despite going into these SEC venues, because of what you've built going all the way back months prior to kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. What we talk about all the time is, regardless of who you're playing, who the opponent is, where you're playing, adversity is going to hit in the middle of a football game. And, that's where that whole camaraderie and leadership and brotherhood really comes into effect whenever we're on the road and adversity hits, when the crowd's going to be cranked up and it's going to be very loud. We're on the sidelines. And when we're just going to, I mean, which I'm excited for, because, I mean, we're going to be making those adjustments, I mean, with the leaders that we have on this team, and that we're not going to be turning and pointing fingers and stuff, that we're going to be, I mean, rallying with each other and, continuing to go forward. And, that's a whole lot more difficult to do on the road rather than when you're at home. But, I mean, that's one thing that I think we're going to do fairly well.
Mm-hmm. And just going to the mindset of the football player on the sidelines also, Christian, can you kind of describe just how the mentality is go on to what's next? I mean, you could catch a touchdown pass for 70 yards. You could drop a pass.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people don't realize how quickly you guys shutter that, regardless of how good or bad a play is, to think about, all right, here's the next play and the next task I have to go.
Without a doubt. And I think that's one of the big things, that coaches, really instill in the football players nowadays is short-term mindset, short-term memory. You like you said, you drop that football, you fumble, even if you catch a touchdown, right when that whistle blows to end the play, the next play is going and you forget about it. Mm-hmm. Because if you let that manifest, it's just going to keep growing on you, and your performance level is just going to decrease. So, I think the great players and the great teams are the ones to be able to execute that play in that moment, and then once the next play comes, everything else is in the past, and you're focusing on that moment right there.
I like to look at it as, you're coming off the field after a drive or something, and you've got from the time you get off the field to the time you get to the bench. And once you get to the bench, you've got to be done. You've got to move on. Because, regardless, what you score a touchdown, everyone's high-fiving you, or you're coming off the field and coach is taking off his headset yelling at you. But by the time you get to the bench, that's completely over with, and the coaches are all with you, your teammates are over with you, and we're talking about what we're going to do on the next drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Both you guys heavily involved in special teams, and looking back to Prairie View, Christian, how excited were you for Nick to be able to take that one back to the house, especially in a game got out of hand, but still to execute that play?
Oh, I was ecstatic for him. We put a lot of work in, as return specialists, and being a punt returner is not the easiest job in the world, and Nick Harvey is really talented at that, and we kind of knew coming into this season, especially with last year being #1 in the country in punt return, that there's going to be very, very, very few opportunities for us to return the ball. A lot of teams are going to punt it all over the field, or they're just going to hang it in the air and make us fair catch. So for him to be able to get an opportunity and then capitalize like that, it was awesome to see, and it kind of just we picked up where we left off last season, so it was really exciting.
Do you like to kind of watch on the film when you watch it to see how high Coach Banks can get off the ground celebrating?
Yes, it's awesome. That guy has the most energy on the team from the coaching staff, and it's always full throttle with him, and we get excited making plays for him, because when we get to see him doing that, it just makes you want to work even harder.
Now, we had your roommate on last week in Armani, and we saw this on the season episode, the first episode of The Pulse. Saw what you guys kind of did off the field together, skateboarding.
Yeah.
When'd you get into that? How much fun do you have? Do you get to do – probably don't get to do a whole lot of it, I would guess, during the season, but how much fun is that for you?
It's a blast. I love it. I grew up, as a kid, just always being outside. I was, I wasn't too much into video games or whatnot, but I was, once I got up, especially during the summers, I was outside all day long. And skateboarding was one of the things that I picked up early. I had to have been probably 7 years old when I started doing it, and my parents were at work all day, so I'd go out and skateboard. There's a skate park right down the street from me, so I'd always get up, eat breakfast, and then take off to the skate park all day until it was time for me to come home. But it's something I enjoy doing. I said it in the post. It's kind of I can relive my childhood a little bit. Obviously, I'm not as daredevilish, if I should say, for when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I would just go and do anything. You told me to do something, I would go do it.
You're not flying off rails
now.
Yeah.
There's plenty of injuries that came with that, so I gotta obviously be more careful now, but it's still fun. I enjoy doing it.
Can we get Conor on a board?
Please no.
No?
Please no. I had a skateboarding phase in first grade. And I got to where I could go down my driveway and I could go down some curbs in the cul-de-sac. And after that, I started rollerblading. Started blading it up. So,
Okay.
See, yeah.
I was deep in the blade game.
You still get to do that at all?
No. After my mom broke her wrist and her elbow falling down rollerblading, she's not going to enjoy me revealing that whenever she listens to this. But, after that, and, I had a bad fall ice skating one time. So
you're not supposed to try those triple axles unless you're a professional man.
I know. Too many spins. But I haven't bladed in a while.
Okay.
My days were over. I phased from skateboarding, and then kind of like 6th, 7th grade, I went into BMX, and I started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started doing all that crazy stuff, and
It's that West Coast.
until
Yeah.
the Saturday before my first football game in 8th grade, I snapped my arm in half, falling off my bike. So my dad said
You're done.
That's about
Reality
enough
set
with all
in.
that.
That was
so,
a good decision
yeah.
on your father's behalf.
Reality
so
set in.
You're done.
Had to hang it all up.
Oh, man. Conor, I wanted to ask you, you obviously get in every game. You're playing, you're on special teams, but for you to get out there, you kind of thought you'd probably have a chance against Prairie View.
Right.
You just still never know. How much fun was that for you to run
Oh, that
out
was
there
a
on the
blast.
field?
I mean, it's always fun getting out there, take some snaps and stuff, whether it's in practice or scrimmages, and especially during games. I mean, it's something I didn't get a chance to do last year, but, I relished every single opportunity that I have, every second that I was in, whether it's just being in the huddle with those guys, because, we don't get the huddle much, but whenever we're trying to run some clock, we'll be in there in the huddle just, talking with the guys out on the field, or, celebrating with my teammates after Kwame scored. It was a lot of fun to where it's, it reminds you, why we're doing it, why we practice, why we work so hard for all these months, just so we can get out there and have some fun.
Yeah, and I thought it was fun to watch Conor on the sideline Saturday for the on and off of the headgear, because you usually have the red hat on signaling plays, but then the helmet just came on and off so much Saturday. Who has your helmet? Because you got to be ready to hold.
It's one of our equipment managers, Goose.
Okay, Goose got it.
Goose is the helmet man.
Because I noticed it's a quick transition.
Oh,
you just turn around, it's
I
like
was-
a phone booth with
had
the helmets on.
I had a lot of anxiety actually about that whole transition process, knowing that I was going to have a hat and a headset for all the games to do signaling. And Goose and I worked out a pretty good process to where he just follows me around with my helmet while we're signaling. Whenever we're about to score, we get a touchdown. I just throw off the hat and the headset. Pull out the clip, just kind of toss it to him. He throws me my helmet, and I'm out there. And then he's nice enough after the extra point or the field goal to meet me out at the numbers before I even get off the field. And, here you go. We just exchange. So, it's a seamless process, and he's made it very easy. I was stressing out about it. But,
It's a good phone booth moment. Well, don't watch it just spin around.
Oh, yeah.
And send him out there.
Now, Christian, are you hoping for any meals, anything you like to get on that plane coming there? They take care of you guys pretty good on that thing. Is there anything you're kind of hoping to see after the big win?
I'm not too. I'm not big on
Not
on
really?
that. Yeah, I mean,
Pita chips and hummus.
yeah. Shoot, if
That's his
if
go-to.
I could, I would eat pita chips or a nice carne asada burrito. From back home, that'd be nice.
That's right. Yeah,
if they're able to.
That's what it is. That's what we wanted to ask you
Right.
guys.
Yep.
You're not at the training table. You don't have to worry about regimented meals and stuff. You're splurge. You're going carne asada burrito.
Yeah, well, I revealed last year that Mexican food is by far my favorite food.
Okay.
And we had a little spot down the street from my high school. It's called Los Favoritos, but we called it Pepe's for short. And we probably
not even
we probably kept that place in business. The football team we ate there every day, and it's popular, and everybody eats it back home. Priest Willis can even say it for himself. He loves going there. They're all over the place, but that's one thing I do miss is a nice carne asada burrito. So if I
and the Sabercats, right? Isn't
Yes,
wasn't
sir.
that your high school team name?
Yes, sir, Saguaro Sabercats.
Saguaro Sabercats doesn't fit a team.
Now I know where I'm going to
desert.
eat when I go to
sorry.
Phoenix.
What about Connor's? The go-to meal if you're not training, you don't have to worry about diet and all that.
God, with as much physical activity as they have us doing, you don't always have to worry about a diet. 'Cause
I guess that's true.
We burn off enough stuff as it is.
Put some
but,
calories back.
I'd say either boneless barbecue wings or just a big old deep dish pizza. I'm a big pizza guy. I mean,
pizza's
I could, if I had one meal to eat for the rest of my life, pizza.
Yeah.
I could eat pizza every day.
Guys,
I try to eat pizza every day.
I
agree
beg
with
both
that.
of you don't do this pregame on Saturday.
No,
I don't think Tangway would allow that.
I don't think
Unfortunately,
he's
John
gonna-
Tangway doesn't have the pizza
He
set
he
up on the
doesn't do
buffet
deep
line.
dish
On the
pizza, he
buffet
doesn't do
line,
carne
no, it's
asada
pretty much.
burrito.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've eaten some things before the game that I should have no business eating.
Oh.
Well, that was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
now.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, we'd be okay with
Not-
it the way you've been,
Yeah.
the way things
Yeah.
have been going here
Yeah.
too. So, yeah. Well, the wings. Wasn't that one of your Twitter polls? What was the Twitter poll this week? Ice cream
I think it's
flavors.
ice
These
cream.
guys.
Ice cream.
These guys.
Did you ask the public whether they care about these guys?
Oh, we
flavor
already
of
found
ice
out
cream?
last week that the public does not care. They don't care.
Oh,
Not about your flavor of
we
ice
have-
cream.
Maybe the
wings.
wing
We
flavor.
have fun with it on every Tuesday, just to, tweet out a random.
Yeah.
It's just tweeting out something random, food-wise,
Yeah.
and just to see, who gets more retweets and favorites.
It is pretty
Too many
funny.
social media platforms out there.
We're going to work with you, Will.
People enjoy it.
I'll
gonna
stick
work
with
with
my
you.
one.
Well, guys, safe travels today, and best of luck. We'll see you on the plane.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank
much.
you.
All right.
Conor McQueen, Christian Kirk, right here on Studio 12, the Friday edition.